Welcome to the Dr. Erin Show. May you live your truth. Live from Los Angeles, California, this is Dr. Erin teaching universal law and truth and how to reprogram your subconscious mind. So before we begin, I just want to talk a little bit about how to use this podcast. So if you go through the podcast, you will find that there are numbered podcasts, and those are all 11-minute podcasts to get your mind right and set you on your day. And the other podcasts are some interviews, talks, etc. So I just want to give you a rundown. So let's begin by knowing the truth. Today is a divine day to remember who you are, live on principle, and birth your truth. Living your truth, bringing your highest product to the world, which is you. You're here to direct energy upon mind and demonstrate and manifest a life that you love. So today's topic is signs of spiritual awakening. And I first of all want to debunk some of the signs that you see out there. I believe that spiritual awakening is very much like a butterfly. It is the metamorphosis and transformation that the butterfly goes through. And it's not always easy for the butterfly, right? When you read these signs out there of awakening, you often hear all the positive things of awakening. Well, the butterfly has to first go into the cocoon that it has to almost die. It has to really just completely implode upon itself before it can completely release its wings. And so for me, that was my experience of spiritual awakening. It was the hardest work I ever did in my entire life. And it still is today, to live on principle, to live on truth. All spiritual work is revealing the true self. It's an identity shift. So you have to really let go of all identities, which is the spiritual warfare. It's really the spiritual warrior awakening, which is not easy. So I was reading, some of the signs, quote, quote, of spiritual awakening. And I want to read these 12 signs that I read on this one, Instagrammable moment. And it said, number one, it said an increase in tendency to let things happen rather than make them happen. Number two, frequent attacks of smiling. Number three, feeling of being connected with others and nature. Number four, frequent overwhelming episodes of appreciation. Number five, a tendency to think and act spontaneously rather than fears based on the past experience. Number six, an unshakable ability to enjoy each moment. Number seven, a loss of ability to worry. Number eight, a loss of interest in conflict. Number nine, a loss of interest in interpreting others' actions. Number 10, a loss of interest in judging others. Number 11, a loss of interest in judging self. And number 12, gaining the ability to love without expecting anything. And I was reading that thinking, yeah, that's pretty true. Like when you do a full awakening, you're really able to get to most of those states. I've had states where just being completely blissed out, external, and just being one with the universe. But I'll never forget years back, I was actually at an event with some friends, and we're actually staying in a home. And we were in the living room late at night, and I just remember thinking, something is majorly wrong with me. It was like I was completely external to my own body and to the conversation. And I was thinking, why are we not talking about things that really matter? We were in this conversation, and I think it was just very superficial things, just talking about life, nothing dramatic, just whatever. And I just remember thinking something was wrong with me. I thought I'm going crazy. Like I don't identify or I don't connect with any of our cultural kind of social ways. I had to excuse myself. And I went back to my room because we were staying at a place, and I just kind of laid there and I began to meditate, and I thought, please, help me in this journey, because I thought something's wrong with me. So I want to kind of go through some of the things and signs of spiritual awakening that I went through, which was number one, a desire to isolate and become introverted. There was a period of time in my awakening when I had to kind of almost remove myself from relationships. I had to remove myself from my family. I had to remove myself from all these things because I had to distinguish what was my reality versus what was just a cultural context. And I had to almost just like remove myself. Number 2 was feeling like something was wrong with me and that I was different. And I had always felt that, because I know that's a human condition to really feel like you're different or something's wrong with you. But it was at a whole other level. I felt like something was wrong with me because I didn't even feel like myself anymore. My identity had been shifting so much that I felt even wrong in my own skin at some level. And I felt different. I was beginning to question everything. So number 3 was I frequently began to question others' perspectives and the cultural BS, the belief system as a whole. I began to question everything, and I didn't identify. And I would find, even in my traditional days and at business and in relationship, I just felt like, do I belong here? Why are we doing what we're doing? And I was almost like I was watching human beings walking around like we're ants, like we're just kind of doing these patterns that don't necessarily serve us to really truly have deep connection and make a difference in the world. And then number 4 was a loss of interest in the rat race and materialism as well. And here I was, I'd been years going through meditation, and I thought I had had somewhat of a spiritual awakening. But it wasn't till years into my practice when the veil of life began to really come off. And so I was in a 7,400 square foot home that I owned at this point in my life. I had, great success and had my son, and my family was good. But something was still missing. And so I began to question what I valued and what my true identity was, giving up what the movies had told me, giving up what my family had told me, giving up what the culture had told me, giving up what my friends were telling me, and even what I had told myself. And so this was the hardest work I had ever done. And in that, I call it like an integration. You release all your limiting beliefs, you have the truths of the universe come through, and there is an integration process. There really is the phoenix bird rising. There's that death, dying, and rebirth, as cheesy as that sounds. But on that note, I know today that today is a day to awaken to your greatest self. And maybe there's birthing pains in that, and maybe there's hardship in that, and maybe there's breakdowns for the breakthrough. But I know today is a day to remember who you are and claim your true identity, which is divine. You are a spiritual, powerful being, and I know that for certainty. So please have faith in this process of awakening, knowing today as you align with the law of evolution, because today's daily universal law is a law of evolution, knowing that evolution, this is your evolution. Your awakening is your evolution, that the creative process begins in mind. And as you begin to transform your beliefs, everything else changes, which sets polarity into motion. Evolution is the result of this polarity in the physical form. So it is the involution of the internal impress upon mind that informs universal law and sets everything into motion. And today's daily spiritual practice is to practice being compassionate with yourself. I invite you to practice being compassionate and soft on yourself, easy on yourself. The awakening process can be beautiful and it can be very, very challenging. So practice being compassionate with yourself. And then today's challenge, I challenge you and invite you to take 10 minutes to journal, listing all the identities of yourself. I am a woman, I am X, Y, and Z, I am all these things. And consider crossing the list off and trying on, like you're wearing a suit for the day, that you're nothing and you are the all. The mantra I'm going to use today is, I am that. I am. Not I am that I am. I am that. I am everything. I am all this stuff. I am the universe. I am the Almighty, the Alpha, the Omega, all the above. And so I released today knowing that metamorphosis was one of the most challenging things of my life, and it was one of the most beautiful things. The blessings to come out of that are things that my life's never the same. And you do integrate, and you can go back in traditional rat race things. You can go back into traditional conversations. You can go back into programming and into our cultural context, but you know that you are not that. You just get to be there. and enjoy the experience of it. Have a wonderful day, and may you live your truth. Thanks again for tuning in to Dr. Erin. I'd like to invite you to write a review for this podcast on iTunes. It's important that we like, share, and comment and support the communities that we love. In return, I have a free gift for you, 30 guided meditations, which you can find at drerin.tv. That's www.drerin.tv. Get inspired and learn to use your mind for good via my free app, which includes my daily live show, interviews, power talks, universal law lessons, and more. Also, if you're ready to take a quantum leap in your life, you can join my mastermind, and you can claim your free digital masterclass with the purchase of my international best-selling book, Awakening, a 40-day guide to unleashing your spiritual powers, life purpose, and manifesting your dreams. Thanks again, and may you live your truth.